A number source, howtostudykorean.com. Below is a list of vocabularies to be used in this lesson. Vocabulary. The vocabulary in this section does not need to be separated. In my mind, they would all fall under the category of other.
하나 이퀄 원, 둘 이퀄 투, 셋 이퀄 쓰리, 넷 이퀄 포어, 다섯 이퀄 파이브, 여섯 이퀄 식스, 일곱 이퀄 세븐, 여덟 이퀄 에이트, 아홉 이퀄 나인, 열 이퀄 텐, 스물 이퀄 트웬티, 서른 이퀄 서기, 마흔 이퀄 포티, 쉰 이퀄 피프티, 일 이퀄 원, 이 이퀄 투, 삼 이퀄 쓰리, 사 이퀄 포어, 오 이퀄 파이브, 육 이퀄 식스, 칠 이퀄 세븐, 팔 이퀄 에이트, 구 이퀄 나인, 십 이퀄 텐, 백 이퀄
100.
천
1000.
만
10,000.
0, 지로 공, 지로 처음
The first time beginning.
마지막, 레스트 번째
Counter for 1st/2nd/3rd etc.
첫 번째 이퀄 퍼스트 EST 두 번째 이퀄 세컨드 END게 이퀄
Counter for things.
번,
Counter for behaviors actions.
명,
Counter for people.
대,
Counter for automobiles.
잔,
Counter for a glass of.
시 이퀄 오클락 분 이퀄 미닛 초 이퀄 세컨드 살 이퀄
Years old. Korean numbers. Korean numbers are actually very easy once you get the hang of them, but, because they are so different from English numbers, it is often hard for English speakers to fully understand them at first. First thing you need to know, there are two sets of numbers in Korean, the pure Korean numbers and the numbers derived from Chinese, called Sino-Korean numbers. Let's look at the Sino-Korean numbers first, because they are easier. Sino-Korean numbers. These are the Sino-Korean numbers as provided earlier.
1 이퀄 1, 2 이퀄 2, 3 이퀄 3, 4 이퀄 4, 5 이퀄 5, 6 이퀄 6, 7 이퀄 7, 8 이퀄 8, 9 이퀄 9, 10 이퀄 10, 100 이퀄
100.
천,
1000.
만,
10,000. With only those numbers, you can create any number from 1 to 10 million. All you need to do is put them together.
1 이퀄 1, 1, 10 이퀄 10, 10, 11 이퀄 11, 10 플러스 1, 20 이퀄
20, 2x10.
21,
21. 2x10 plus 1.
22,
22. 2x10 plus 2.
100,
100. 100.
101,
101. 100 plus 1.
102,
102. 100 plus 2.
190,
190. 100 plus 90.
900,
900. 9x 100.
1000,
1000. 1000.
1900,
1900. 1000 plus 9x 100.
5000,
5000. 5x 1000.
5600,
5600. 5x 1000 plus 6x 100.
만,
10,000.
10만,
100,000.
100만,
1 million.
1000만,
10 million. The Sino-Korean numbers are used in limited situations. As each of these are taught throughout the upcoming lessons, you will slowly learn when to use the Sino-Korean numbers over the Korean numbers. For now, don't worry about memorizing when they should be used, as it will come naturally, when counting, dealing with money, when measuring, when doing math, in phone numbers, when talking about counting time in any way except the hour, the names of each month, counting months. There is another way to count months using pure Korean numbers. Pure Korean numbers. These are the pure Korean numbers as provided earlier.
하나 이퀄 1, 둘 이퀄 2, 셋 이퀄 3, 넷 이퀄 4, 다섯 이퀄 5, 여섯 이퀄 6, 일곱 이퀄 7, 여덟 이퀄 8, 아홉 이퀄 9, 열 이퀄 10, 스물 이퀄 20, 서른 이퀄 서기, 마흔 이퀄 포티, 쉰 이퀄 피프티.
Creating numbers 11-19, 21-29, 31-39, etc. is easy, and is done like this. 11.
열하나 10 플러스 1 12, 열둘 10 플러스 2 21, 스물하나 20 플러스 1 59, 쉰아홉 50 플러스 9.
Notice that there are no spaces between the words representing numbers for both the Sino-Korean and pure Korean numbers. I discuss this in a much more difficult lesson that covers how numbers greater than 10,000 are used. For now, it is more important to focus on how to use simple numbers in sentences. After 60, regardless of what you are doing, Pure Korean numbers are rarely used. I was talking to my wife about this once, and she said that she didn't think there was even a pure Korean number for 60. I told her yes, there is.
예순,
To which she replied, oh yeah, I forgot. When you get that high, even as high as 40-50, it is not uncommon to use the Sino-Korean numbers instead. The pure Korean numbers are used when you are counting things, people, actions, talking about the hour and time, sometimes used when talking about months. Again, don't worry about memorizing each of those yet. Whenever I talk about numbers, I will tell you which set you are expected to use. Full stop. Full stop. Using numbers, counters. When counting anything in Korean, you need to use the pure Korean numbers. In addition, one thing that is very hard for English speakers to wrap their head around is that, when counting most things in Korean, you need to also include a counter. The most common counters are
개,
counter for things,
명,
counter for people,
번,
counter for behaviors, actions. There are many more counters, but if you can't remember the specific counter of something, you can usually substitute
개,
the counter for thing instead. You will learn the more difficult counters as you progress through future lessons. For now, the goal is to get you accustomed to using these three simple counters. When counting in English, we usually don't use counters. Rather, we just say, 2 people, as in, I met 2 people. But some things in English require the use of these counters. For example, you could not say I bought 2 films, referring to the film in a camera, not a movie. Instead, you have to say I bought 2 rolls of film. The word roll in that sentence is a counter, and is similar to the counters in Korean. The main difference is that counters are used to count almost everything in Korean. The words 1, 2, 3, 4 and 20 change when adding a counter. 1 equals
하나, 하니, 둘, 두, 삼, 셋, 세, 사, 넷, 네, 20, 스물, 스무.
All counters can be written in 2 different ways with no difference in meaning.
사람 2명,
Or
2명의 사람, 2.
people,
사람 1명,
or
1명의 사람, 1.
person,
펜 5개,
or
5개의 펜, 5.
pens,
펜 44개,
or
44개의 펜, 44.
pens. When writing out the word instead of using the numeral, for example, writing
한,
instead of 1, the correct form is to have a space between the written number and the counter. For example,
1개,
instead of,
1개 2번,
instead of,
2번 3명,
instead of.
3명.
When the Korean numbers are used, that is when counting things or actions, the numeral is more typically used than the word. In our lessons, you will usually see the Korean word written out when a counter is used. In other situations where Sino-Korean numbers are used, there is no difference if you use the Sino-Korean numeral or the word. I will come back to this in the next lesson when you learn applications for Sino-Korean numbers. These nouns that we have counted can now become the object of a sentence.
나는 펜 4개를 샀어.
I bought 4 pens.
나는 햄버거 2개를 먹었어.
I ate 2 hamburgers.
나는 어제 친구 5명을 만났어.
I met 5 friends yesterday. Or,
나는 4개의 펜을 샀어.
I bought 4 pens.
나는 2개의 햄버거를 먹었어.
I ate 2 hamburgers.
나는 어제 5명의 친구를 만났어.
I met 5 friends yesterday. Notice the difference in placement of
를.
in the first and second examples. Although the placement of the particles is important for your initial understanding of Korean grammar, eventually, you will become more comfortable with omitting particles altogether. Omitting particles is not something I recommend for a beginner because it is very important that you understand how to use them perfectly for more complex sentences. Nonetheless, most often in speech, particles in this situation are often omitted. For example, you might hear something like this.
나는 펜 4개 샀어.
I bought 4 pens. But like I said, at this stage, it is crucial that you continue to use particles in all of your sentences so you can continue to familiarize yourself with them. Here are some more examples of counters in use.
그 사람은 차 4대가 있어요.
That person has 4 cars.
저는 우유 2잔을 샀어요.
I bought 2 glasses of milk.
저는 땅콩 2개를 먹었어요.
I ate 2 peanuts. 0. I figure since I am talking about numbers, I should mention something about how when the number 0 is used. Just like other numbers, there are 2 ways to say 0 in Korea. However, unlike other numbers, both ways of saying 0 are of Chinese origin.
0,
Which is, from what I understand, the way Chinese people say 0.
0,
Which is sort of like the meaning of nothing. That isn't really very important, but what is important is knowing which word to use in which situation you should use.
0,
When talking about points that can be given or taken away, like in a game, for example, when saying the score 2-0, you would say.
2대 0.
Another example would be if you are in a quiz show, and you ask your friend how many points she has, she could say.
0점.
The temperature 0 when using numbers in math, which, if you're just learning Korean now, you probably won't do for a long time, you should use.
0,
When talking about phone numbers, for example, when saying 010 5555 5555, all the zeros should be read as
0.
If you don't live in Korea, you probably won't know this, but 010 inches is the typical area code for a cell phone, in Seoul, at least. Therefore, when giving your phone number, you usually start out by saying
0, 1, 0, 번,
counter of behavior or action.
번,
Is a common counter that counts behavior or actions, and is not directly counted with a noun in a sentence. Putting a number before
번,
creates an adverb that tells you how many times something was done. It is an adverb, so
를.
is usually not attached to it.
저는 어제 학교에 3번 갔어요.
I went to school 3 times yesterday.
저는 그 영화를 5번 봤어요.
I saw that movie 5 times.
저는 오늘 2번 운동할 것입니다.
I will exercise twice, 2 times, today.
저는 어제 고기를 2번 먹었어요.
I ate meat twice yesterday.
저는 오늘 축구를 4번 할 거예요.
I will play soccer 4 times. This is fairly simple to use, but you will continue to learn about this word in the next lesson when you learn how to say this time, next time, and last time. Telling Korean time. There are so many different ways to talk about time: seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years, etc. You will learn more about how to indicate when you did or will do something using these time words in the next lesson. In this lesson, however, you will learn about telling time, as in the time on a clock. When talking about the hour, as in 2 o'clock, all you need to do is put
시,
after a number, 2.
시 equal to 시 5클락.
When talking about the minute, add
분,
after the number, 2.
시 30분, 2시 30분.
The pure Korean numbers are used when saying the hour number, whereas the Sino-Korean numbers are used when saying the minute number. For example, 2.
시 30분, 2시 30분, 5와 2시 30분.
2:30. Earlier in the lesson I said that when a pure Korean number is used with a counter, it is more commonly written out instead of using the numeral. In this case,
시,
could be seen as a counter as we are counting hours. However, writing the numeral or the word is equally as common and acceptable when referring to the time. In my case, I much prefer to use the numeral instead of the word. To indicate the minute, Sino-Korean numbers are used in. Just like all times when Sino-Korean numbers are used, there is no difference if you use the numeral or the word. I prefer to use the numeral in these cases. The spacing of these also needs to be discussed. As I mentioned earlier, when a written number is placed before a counter, there should be a space between the number and the counter. This is true for the number before
분,
as well. For example, if you were writing the words out,
2시,
should be written instead of,
2시 30분,
should be written instead of.
30분.
However, when using the numeral, it is acceptable to omit the space and attach the numeral directly with the following counter. For example, 2.
시 30분.
Officially, there should be a space. However, Most people do not include a space and it is also seen as correct to omit it. Other examples. 3,
시 10분, 3시 10분 3시 10분.
3:10, 12,
시 50분, 12시 50분 12시 50분.
12:50.
You will see more examples of this in the next lesson when you learn more applications of numbers, specifically Sino-Korean numbers. If you can't get it into your brain yet, it will be easier when you see more examples in the next lesson. These times can now go in a sentence as usual by adding
에,
to indicate a time.
나는 5시에 먹을 거야.
I will eat at 5 o'clock.
나는 2시 30분에 왔어.
I came at 2:30.
우리는 야구를 1시에 할 거예요.
We will play baseball at 1 o'clock.
우리는 7시 20분에 시작할 거예요.
We will start at 7:20. Age. When indicating how old a person is, you should use pure Korean numbers along with the word,
살.
which is a counter for ages. For example,
저는 10살이에요.
I am 10 years old.
저의 여자친구는 26살이에요.
My girlfriend is 26 years old. It would sound weird to use the Sino-Korean numbers to indicate the age of somebody who is under 30. However, after 30, it is not uncommon to use the Sino-Korean numbers instead of the pure Korean numbers. The older the age, the more likely you will hear the Sino-Korean number used instead of the pure Korean number. After 50, you are most likely to exclusively hear the Sino-Korean numbers. You haven't learned how to ask questions yet, so it is difficult for me to explain how to ask about a person's age. You will understand the following sentence better once you are confident with the content introduced in lessons 21 and 22. Nonetheless, it would be good to memorize this sentence because of how common of a question it is. Left parenthesis.
나이가 몇 살이에요?
How old are you?
번째,
First, second, third, etc.
번째,
Can be used after a number like a counter to mean first, second, third, etc. When saying first,
첫,
replaces.
한.
For example,
첫 번째, 퍼스트 저의 첫 번째 친구는 착했어요.
my first friend was nice.
저는 첫 번째 차를 싫어했어요.
I didn't like that first car. If you think that is confusing, explain how 1 gets changed to first, 2 gets changed to second and 3 gets changed to third. After first, you can use the regular Korean numbers. Just like with counters, the numbers 2, 4 change when
번째,
follows. For example,
두 번째, 세컨드 그 두 번째 선생님은 똑똑했어요.
that second teacher was smart.
저는 두 번째 남자를 골랐어요.
I chose the second man.
세 번째, 서드 이 여권은 저의 세 번째 여권이에요.
This is my third passport.
저는 세 번째 문을 열었어요.
I opened the third door.
네 번째, 코스 저는 네 번째 사람이었어요.
I was the fourth person.
이 아이는 저의 네 번째 아들이에요.
This person is my fourth son. After the number 4, the words don't change when adding.
번째,
For example,
이 수업은 오늘 저의 10번째 수업입니다.
this is my 10th class today.
저는 100번째 페이지를 읽었어요.
I read the 100th page. Sometimes you might see these numbers plus counters used in the following way.
첫 번째 이퀄 첫째 이퀄 퍼스트 두 번째 이퀄 둘째 이퀄 세컨드 세 번째 이퀄 셋째 이퀄 서드 네 번째 이퀄 넷째 이퀄 포스 etc.
These shortened forms can't be used in as many situations as their longer counterparts. The most common situation where these are used is when talking about your first, second, third, etc. children. For example,
우리 둘째 아들은 고등학생이에요.
our second son is a high school student.
우리 셋째 아이는 야구를 좋아해요.
Our third child likes baseball.
이 아이는 우리 첫째 아들이에요.
This child is our first son. In these cases, it is common to just refer to the child as one's first or one's second. We often do the same thing in English. For example,
우리 둘째는 고등학생이에요.
our second child is a high school student.
우리 셋째는 야구를 좋아해요.
Our third child likes baseball.
이 아이는 우리 첫째예요.
This child is our first child. However, as I mentioned, it would be unnatural to use these words in sentences like this.
저는 셋째 문을 열었어요.
Very understandable, but awkward.
저는 넷째 사람이었어요.
Very understandable, but awkward. Another place you will see words like
첫째,
and
둘째,
is when making lists about things that need to be done, and the speaker writer is indicating firstly, and then secondly. For example,
첫째, 저는 야채를 많이 먹겠습니다.
first, I will eat a lot of vegetables.
둘째, 저는 매일 운동하겠습니다.
Second, I will exercise every day. I didn't make audio recordings for the above sentences because I feel they would more likely be written than spoken. Another useful word is
마지막,
which often translates to last. It is often confusing for English speakers to understand the usage of
마지막,
at first because the word last has more than one usage in English.
마지막,
Is used to refer to the final, last, thing at the end of sequence, as in first meal, second meal, third meal, fourth meal, final, last, meal. It is not used to refer to a previous thing. Notice the difference between these two usages of last night, the previous night, I went to the movies the last night, the final night, of our trip was the best. The second example would be where you could use
마지막,
because you are referring to the final, last, night of a sequence of nights on a trip. In the first example, you are talking about the previous night. I will introduce how you can refer to a previous thing in the next lesson where I introduce.
지난,
Here are some examples of
마지막.
in use.
이것은 저의 마지막 수업이에요.
This is my last class.
저는 마지막 것을 안 봤어요.
I didn't see the last thing. I didn't see that last one. In these examples,
마지막,
is being used as a descriptive word, even though it is not an adjective in its original form. It is not an adjective because it does not end in
다,
and cannot be conjugated. Words can be used this way in English as well. The word face is a noun, but in the sentence I put on face paint, the word face describes the type of paint you used. Similarly, you could say that as a computer room, where the word computer is describing the room.
처음,
First time
처음,
is a very complex word that be used in many situations. I have been studying Korean for years and I still don't know how to use it perfectly in all situations. It can be used in sentences when you are talking about the first time something is being done. It can be used as a noun or an adverb, depending on the situation, which adds to its complexity. The two most common situations are 1.
처음에,
At first in the beginning.
처음에 그 여자를 싫어했어요.
I didn't like that girl at first.
저는 처음에 체육 수업을 싫어했어요.
At first I didn't like pay class. 2. Put in a sentence as an adverb to indicate this is the first time something has happened.
저는 어제 선생님을 처음 만났어요.
I met my teacher for the first time yesterday.
저는 내일 한국에 처음 갈 것입니다.
I will go to Korea for the first time tomorrow. You've gotten this far. You can't stop now. Haha. The learning curve now is still fairly steep, but it will get much easier in the future. As I keep saying, having a good solid base in the fundamental grammar concepts of Korean will help you tons later on. For more info, please visit howtostudykorean.com.